Tomatoes are a popular and excellent crop to grow for most gardeners. They do come with a few hiccups though, but today we're going to go over 14 things that you can bear in mind to have great success with these wonderful plants. My name is Marlene. Welcome back, friends, and welcome to all my first-time viewers. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing to bear in mind when you're planting them by seeds or from starts, like these great ones that a friend of ours gave to us with some basil, is not planting them out too early. Your overnight temperatures need to be a steady 55 degrees Fahrenheit or higher because they love to have warmer weather and they'll struggle if you put them out when it's too cold. Next thing to bear in mind is to choose healthy plants. If you're getting them from starts, they should have a nice, healthy looking green color. They should not be leaning forward in any particular direction, because that means they're reaching for light, and that also is an indicator that they are stressed out. The plants that are like this size should not be flowering already, because flowering is actually a mild type of stress that is telling you it's on the plant, because they're thinking they need to reproduce because stressful times are coming. So get them flowering if they're larger. Next thing is to avoid shady areas. It may be great for this little bird, this little bluebird right here in my backyard, but tomatoes, they need lots of sun. 6 or more hours of sunlight per day. Typically, a garden that's facing south or west or east in most cases are fine. North-facing gardens tend to have a lot more shade, so it would not be best for your tomatoes. They're going to be stressed out and they won't do as well or give you as much fruit. Next thing to bear in mind is to choose good, appropriate soil. Now, some of the soil quality in recent times have not been so great, but the main thing is that you want to get potting soil for tomatoes that you're putting in containers, and garden soil for those that are going in flower beds. If you're doing raised beds, they also have specific raised bed soil that you can use as well too. You can see the difference between them. In most cases though, they'll tell you they have a little food in them, but typically you'll want to add some more, because you just want to make sure that they have enough of what they need. And you can just see again, guys, how they compare and why one doesn't work in the other area. So since we spoke about feeding them, fertilizing at the appropriate time with the appropriate type is important. Earthworm castings have a lot of nitrogen in them. And nitrogen is very important in the initial stage because it promotes a lot of leaf development. So does blood meal. And if you look at it, you can see the 3 numbers, the NPK numbers, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That when the nitrogen level is high, it's more for leaves. If it is in the case of like your bone meal, in the middle, you see the phosphorus is higher because that helps with blooms, as does potassium to a lesser degree. And they just overall give you healthy plants. I like to put magnesium sulfate that's in Epsom salt. I just put 2 tablespoons of Epsom salt to 2 gallons of water, mix it around, and I water it with that like every 2 weeks or so. Another one for nitrogen in the earlier stages would be like your fish fertilizer. And it's an emulsion. I'll be the first to admit that it does not have the nicest smell in the world, but it is very, very effective. Most people who use it will tell you that. And as you can see the numbers again, nitrogen levels is higher because that's what your plant needs in the earlier stages. When your plant gets, further along, it's about to start blossoming, you need something with more phosphorus in it and potassium in some cases. I usually just put about 2 tablespoons in there to the 2 gallons of water. And then you just go ahead and mix. I was doing this for 2. That's why you'll see me putting 4. I just started to mix it stronger in one and then dilute it in the other jug. But it's basically 2 tablespoons to 2 parts to 2 gallons of water. Give it a good mix. Then I just dilute them out and I go ahead and pour away. And this is for the earlier stages, and you don't need to do that anymore. Now there is something that's called blossom end rot. And this is because there is a lack of calcium getting to your plant. And you may have heard that eggshells are pretty good for that, because eggshells have a lot of calcium in them. But typically you want to allow them to dry out maybe for about 3 days or so before you use them. What I like to do is I like to put them in the oven, which many people do too, and bake it at about 15 to 20 minutes at about 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And I use something to grind them out, whether it's like the bullet grinder that you're seeing there, or a mortar and pestle, whichever one it is. And you just put them in there and get it to a nice fine powder. Let me show you what it looks like when it comes out from there. So this is what it looks like, very fine, almost like a powder you can see there. But this is not water soluble. It will dissolve a little bit faster into the soil and go up to your plant. But if you just add a little bit of vinegar, but that amount is maybe like about 8 eggs or nine. I just added about, like a capful, that's maybe like about 2 teaspoons in there. You'll see a little fizz going on because the acid is breaking down the calcium. And just pour a little water on there. You can cover it, just cover it loosely though, not heavy, because you don't want the gases that are coming off, which would be carbon dioxide in this case, to cause any pressure buildup. And you just pour it after that, when you dilute it out to about 1 to 10 ratio, and you should be good. So let's take a look at companion planting. We can't leave out our marigolds. They are so important in the garden, guys. They attract beneficial insects, which includes parasitic wasps. And what the parasitic wasps do is that they basically decimate the hornworm, the tomato hornworm caterpillars, because they're a main culprit on them. And of course, they do also the roots of them, they will protect your plant against nematodes. And there are very few plants that do it, but marigold is definitely one of those. I also have 2 bonus points for you at the end, guys, so be sure to stick around so you can get to see that. This is the African marigold, also great to be used that way. Cosmos is another one that's really great for your pollinators as well too. This is a bee on here. They also attract the same parasitic wasp as well too. But I read recently, or I should say I saw recently somewhere where someone said that, tomatoes, you can just shake them, they're wind pollinated. Which you can shake them, there's nothing wrong with that, but they do need the insects. They're not wind pollinated. Grasses like these right here, you'll not see like colorful petals on them, whether white or any shade of the rainbow. They will not have those because the wind is what carries them and pollinates them. The same is true for your pines and trees like those. They will not need to have petals because there's no need to attract any insects. But these flowers right here, that's what's going to do it. So when you have these larger ones, they pull them into your garden, then they go onto the blossoms for your tomatoes. And when they do that, they're doing the job for you there. Zinnias are another good one too that's going to be pulling in pollinators. They grow pretty big though, so I'd say make sure that you don't, put them too close to your tomatoes. Same is true for like your coneflower. This is a perennial right here, and in the first year or two, they may look kind of small, but if they keep coming back in the area where you're using them, you're going to find that they get so large they may smother out your plant. So that happened to me, so I'm just giving you some fair warning. And these are some grape tomatoes right here. You can see some cosmos right there. Basil is said to, improve the flavor of tomatoes, and I was so glad that our friend gave these to us. We got 2 basils and we got 3 tomatoes, so that's going to be a perfect combination. And this is what I've heard, that it does give them that wonderful flavor. So let me know what you have heard. Moving on to number 7, and that would be that you will need to plant your tomatoes deep. If you look at your tomatoes, you'll notice that there's a lot of little fuzzy hairs on the stems going up. Those can become roots on your plant. So when you plant it deep down, then it's better for the plant. And typically you want to pick off the bottom leaves first before you plant them, so you can go a little bit deeper. I'm eventually going to take it off from here, but I could have even taken another one off, even further up, and just bury them deep down in there. And they're so much better off. It's still better for them, and they'll be a lot happier than just to level them off with the top of the pot that you got from your garden center, or if a friend gave it to you. Next thing will be to look at mulching. Mulching is very important for these plants because it helps to reduce weeds in your garden beds, and it also helps to retain moisture. And there are so many different types of mulch. I prefer cypress mulch or pine bark mulch. I don't like the red ones or the black ones because in my opinion there's color in there and I don't know what's going on my food. So me personally, for my food, I prefer not to use those. But whatever you prefer is really best for you, and there are so many different choices that are out there. Next thing, hand in hand with mulching, is to make sure that you're going to be watering them deep. It's better to water them maybe 1 or 1.5 inches deep, maybe 2 or every 3 days, than to water them every day in a shallow way, because that's going to cause what we just spoke about earlier, and that's blossom end rot. Because the calcium may be in the soil, you may have your magnesium because they work really well together, but if it's not getting to the plant because of inadequate water, you're going to get blossom end rot. So it's good to have the combo of your eggshells, and the magnesium from your Epsom salt. And I just wanted to take a moment to invite you to subscribe to our channel if you have never done so before. My husband and I, we do lots of gardening topics. We'll do like garden DIYs. We show you what's at the garden centers. We'll go over, any questions that you might have, or just some things to avoid, or just some great results that we have had, and we share those with you. You can also support us by looking at the merchandise on the product tag, and these are pictures from our garden. So we thank you in advance so much, and our channel members, we see you and we love you so, so much. Next will be to use cages for your tomatoes. Those are some really good ones that we got recently. They were so nice. I love the color and everything, but whatever you can get is fine. These are determinate tomatoes, which means that they're going to bear fruit for a period of time and then they stop. So cages, are more typical for those. In some places, maybe be able to get away with a few stakes here and there, and they will be pretty much okay. And you can see how heavy these are right here. So they really do need to have that additional support. So because if it feels supported, it will get larger. And for your slicing tomatoes, that's definitely what you want to have happen. Now, there are some type of tomatoes that are called indeterminate tomatoes, which means that they're going to be giving you fruit either until disease takes them out or the colder weather comes and takes them out. But they just keep giving and giving and giving. And those tend to grow a lot. They're like winding vines, because I wrapped this around so many times because I didn't get something that was high enough for them. And it's really not good for the plant to be wrapping them around like that. It's better for them to go up vertically. So a nice trellis would be good. And I've seen so many little different DIYs that people do. They'll have strings go up and have them run along on there. Just different things with us with your indeterminate tomatoes. The next one is talking about, spacing them. It's good to put your tomatoes, I'd say maybe anywhere from 16 to 20 inches apart so they have enough room to breathe, because just like most things in the garden, if they don't have enough airflow going through them, they're more likely to suffer from, like fungal diseases and other types of pests maybe hiding, under them and things like that. You can also pinch off like your suckers towards the bottom of the plant, so they're not resting on the soil, and that way, they'll be likely to do a lot better. And if you see any little thing going on, like it's not looking so nice or dry, you can just go in and, get a clean pair of pruners and snip them out. If there's diseases, you want to clean them off first with some, hydrogen peroxide when you're done, to make sure they're okay. Next thing is to monitor temperature. When the temperatures are, I'd say, in the upper 80s, the 90s, and so on, your blossoms will look like the first ones you just saw. This one is perfectly fine. As you can see, when you look further down on the plant, they're doing better and better because these ones were put out when the weather was a little bit cooler. The leaves also curl as a defense mechanism, so the plant isn't losing as much water from the undersides. So you can see, how some of them have curled there. And that's just the plant's way of defending itself, protecting itself from the excess heat. But you can get some nice shade cloths. Some of them look really, really good, and that will help you in that situation. And we'll talk about what's called cat facing. Nothing major, but you can see sometimes you have a little, puckering on the undersides of your tomatoes like these. This is minor. They can be really, really, like outlandish sometimes. It's because of too much nitrogen or improper watering, inconsistent. These ones right here, these are bred to look like this, so these are not cat facing. That's just how they are. And the lines extend from the top all the way to the bottom in these, so that's how you know that that's how it's supposed to look. And here's your first bonus point, guys. Go ahead and harvest as much as you can. The more you harvest is the more you will get from your tomatoes. Whether they are cracked, whether they are, not as big as you wanted, go ahead and harvest them. And I'd say if it's going to rain, it's best to just get them when even if they're just blushing, harvest them, because you don't want them to split, because they will split if they're out there and it rains when they're about to ripen up. And you can see I have like different sizes here, and it's just such a wonderful feeling to be able to go in and harvest them. These ones had a little bit of, disease on the leaves because they were a little bit late in the season, and, it came in a little bit there. That was a wrapper on one that I told you about before. But the tomatoes are perfectly fine, so enjoy them. And one of my sons made this, and I was so happy to, have it. That's his little salad. Next thing to mention is that if it's at the end of the season, they're green, go ahead and harvest them, guys, before the first hard frost, because you can ripen them in a brown paper bag. And that's what we did, and that's how they came out. About 2 of them were frostbitten, so we took those up, but everything else was perfectly fine. You can see how they're looking there. So I do hope that this encourages you. You don't have to do everything. maybe just a couple of the things on here, and it will make a big difference for you. And as you do more of them, you'll be encouraged to do even more when you see all the benefits of this. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can get there, and don't be discouraged. Just keep going, and you will get to become a tomato expert. I just want to thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for coming back time and time again. Thanks extra to the people who share my videos with those that love gardening. Thank you so much for watching. Happy gardening, and I do hope to see you in the next one. Take care.